So we're just going to go through what's going to be on your end of semester exam for religion, but I also want to break down how to effectively respond to questions where you need to use sources as evidence. So the learning goals from this semester have really been to know the significant events in modern church history, to know about the beliefs and practices of our monotheistic religions. In the exam, you'll be demonstrating skill in using sources as evidence and using structure. But the big key things are your understanding and understand that events in history shape and influence the church and its place in society, both past and present, and also to understand the connection of the monotheistic faiths, so that you can then really understand the origins of our faith. So the end of semester exam has multi-choice questions, short answer questions, response to stimulus, and then a paragraph response where you will need to write that essay card and you are allowed to bring that in. You will receive all the sources prior to the exam, but you can't bring them back in. They will be in the exam. No notes are allowed in the exam. You are allowed to write that essay card. In fact, I strongly recommend that you bring in the paragraph card. So this is what the questions are focusing on, your monotheistic religions and sin and forgiveness from term one, and then church history from the French Revolution through to World War One, looking at the actions and reactions of the church during this time in history, and then the reactions of society towards the church, and the significant figures that have come from our church history. But here's the main thing I want us to look at. So we're going to go through 3 examples that show you how you can respond using your source. So an example question can be to explain the different definitions of sin from the Old to the New Testament. And here you see you've got 2 different sources. And so your knowledge, this one's easy because here's the New Testament, so we know source 2 is the New Testament, which makes source 1 the Old Testament. You need to look for clues like that. And in answering it, you want to have a look for the clues to the question. So the key part is the different definitions of sin. So I need to know what the Old Testament, how they define sin, and then the new one. So you highlight in the source any of the clues as to the question, and then it's just about putting those together. And so what I've done here is really, this is a very short response. You'll see that I've actually used the source as my own phrasing. And I have referenced it down here, so we know source 1, and it's got the quotations. So that's key there that you've used 2 quotes. And again, the same here. Another way that you can do it is showing in source 1 and it states, and then you give it, but you always got the key little punctuation thing there to show quote. But you'll see that you just take the clues you've got and then use those to prove your answer. Another example of a longer answer, paragraph response, how these lines symbolize the idea of sin. And it's a verse from a Leonard Cohen song. So again, our key idea is the idea of sin within Christianity. So then we start looking for what sin was and we highlight those. And you show your knowledge and understanding in your explanation. So you essentially using this source and these quotes to prove what you know. And again here, these ones got the quotation marks. I haven't said source 3 in that because it's one source. So anytime I've got these quotation marks, I can clearly see that that's from the source. So there wasn't the need to say which source because there was really only one. This one is, you will also get pictures. And these are harder because you can't just draw an explicit quote straight from it. So for this one, we're using this source to look at the religious causes of the French Revolution. And so you need to pick out key things. So I've looked at, well, this is could be symbolic of the wealth. We know that the church in the 1780s was gathering payments from the poor, so they were gathering payments from the poor to become richer. So his size is symbolic of the wealth and the power of the church. We see a man here, he's in a vice, he's getting squeezed, so it's about getting that money back. And then we see him over here and he's down, he's the same size. So it's about bringing the church wealth back down to a more equal level, and that was part of their revolt. And now I just put those in. So here's my source. And then the green is the knowledge and understanding that I'm bringing to this question, and I'm using the source to prove that knowledge and understanding. So you need to, all these examples will step through that you're using the source to prove your knowledge and understanding. You can't just state. You have to bring something to the question as well. So what I want to look at now is unpacking the criteria. And this is what we're really looking for in an excellent response. So there's the two parts, knowledge, and you'll see there's explicit parts of the exam that these come from. Now, can you identify key events and changes and identify different beliefs? So we're looking at your accuracy, and then we're looking at your answers at your detail and the thoroughness of your knowledge and understanding. Cognitive verb here is the justification and the understanding. So justify is obviously, can you back up what you're saying by connecting it to different ideas, looking at the social, the political, the cultural, and how they interrelated on the church and then on the lives of believers past and present, so on society. The other one is skills. So two more criteria. I can analyze the causes and effects. So I can show deliberate and sophisticated selection of ideas. That is using the sources. You can select effective evidence to justify your understandings. And these ones are the longer answer. I can create extended responses using sources as evidence. So go back to the 3 examples that are on there. And also I can adhere to structure. That's why you must bring in write that essay card. It's one less thing to worry about. And you need to be able to use sophisticated language. So we should be seeing you using the language of the unit. What did they call the payments people pay to the church? They use the words that are there. And also make sure that what you're writing is what you mean. Your teacher can only mark what's there. So if we can't make sense of your sentences, we can't mark them. So make sure you budget to give yourself the time to go back over and ensure what you're saying makes sense. And remember, this is an end of semester exam. It's term 1 and term 2 unit. This is a really big skill as you are moving to the new testing and the new curriculum, and you need to start remembering across units. So we want to prep you for that as best that we can. Good luck, boys.